Welcome to Frog Talk, an Auction Frogs podcast series all about events and fundraising in a post-2020 world. For more information on Auction Frogs and the services we offer, visit auctionfrogs.org today.
Hi, this is Corey Michaels along with Kayla Farringer, and this is another episode of Frog Talk, your leap into fundraising. And I'm so excited this time around. We get to talk with Emma. She is part of this organization in Minnesota that helps children's hospitals, that helps through grants, that helps our children and the health and the betterment of our kids, and which is at the top of my list of my favorite nonprofits to be able to work with. And Emma, you had your virtual event for the first time. How are you?
I am so good. This is actually our second virtual event, but I am so excited to report. Yeah, but we are so excited to report that it was a huge success. Everything was so smooth, and I'm really excited to be here to talk to you guys about it today.
First of all, let's talk about what you do, how you do it, and then we're going to get into, the virtual part and how the fundraising is going and all of that. But I'm really excited to just hear about your why.
Yeah. So the Children's Hospital Association has been around for almost 90 years, supporting the mission and growth of Children's Minnesota, which is a really incredible regional hospital based in the Twin Cities. So we provide grants for different programs across the hospital, from music therapy to children's cancer survivor programs. And we do all of that through a really incredible network of volunteers and guilds who help us fundraise throughout the year.
And now, how long ago did you get involved, and what is your personal why that got you involved?
Great question. I have been with the Children's Hospital Association for a year and a half. I am extremely passionate about building healthier and stronger communities. And of course, in the nonprofit sector, that means a lot of different things. But joining the Children's Hospital Association has really transformed the way I see ways that our communities can be built, come together. And of course, with Children's Hospital Association, that's true with our guilds, incredible fundraising events throughout the year. And then, of course, events like Art with Heart, which are our signature fundraising event for the year. Well,
and obviously, Art with Heart had to change. I mean, it's, just like so much of our nonprofit fundraising, this last year or so has kind of changed the way that we've gone about our fundraising. But also, we found some exciting things that came along with this horrific situation that our world has dealt with. It's one of the few silver linings that came out of it, is that we realized there are ways for nonprofits to get out their message in this larger footprint. But what were you thinking when this first came about, and committee to do the Art with Heart and came to that realization, and how your first virtual event went?
Yeah, absolutely. Last spring is when the pandemic started. We were really nervous about what fundraising was going to look like for CHA, because so many of our events are in-person gatherings. So we didn't really know what the year was going to look like. But of course, like every other nonprofit, we knew we had to jump headfirst into figuring out what the virtual landscape would look like. We were really lucky to have a really incredible donor base give to us throughout the year. Of course, supporting our hospitals, and especially children's hospitals this year, was extremely important. So our first virtual fundraiser was in October. It was called the Walter Ramsey Awards Benefit, and it was a reworked version of our annual gala for a virtual setting. And we really wanted that to kick off a new celebration of our frontline healthcare workers, the legacy of Children's Minnesota in our region, and of course, the work of the Children's Hospital Association and our impact on Children's Minnesota. So that was also a very successful event. We worked with a lot of really amazing community partners. We had a really amazing pre-recorded event with, again, a lot of incredible supporters from our area. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of work to pull off all of those logistics, working with so many different vendors, across so many different platforms. And we were lucky to have a lot of really amazing volunteers. But this spring, as we were approaching Art with Heart, we thought, okay, this is a very well-loved event. It's its 10th anniversary. Let's pull back. Let's look at the basics and let's see who our best partner could be for pulling off this event. And that's how we found Auction Frogs.
And we are so glad that you did as well. Now, how did your second virtual event compare to your first? What did you learn between the two? And how did that help with your fundraising and awareness with your donor base?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think both virtual events were very successful for very different reasons. But on the whole, Art with Heart ended up being a much smoother experience in terms of event planning and logistics from, of course, an administrative side. So at our first event, like I said, it was in October. We tried to do as much as we could to replicate the gala experience. So we had a really amazing event to go experience. We had, of course, that amazing pre-recorded event, and then we had a pretty large auction. But of course, all of those existed on different platforms. I think one thing that we liked about that experience was we got to have a lot of control over what the experience looked like for people who were viewing. But what we didn't realize is we could also accomplish that with a live event. And by choosing to work with somebody like Auction Frogs, who could help us promote broadcasting the program, being assisting with our videography, and of course, hosting a really amazing auction. So yeah, I think in a lot of ways after the Walter Ramsey Awards benefit, we found that people were really engaged with the program and the mission, but people weren't quite as engaged with our auction the way that we wanted to. And of course, Art with Heart is a very auction-centered event, so we were happy to work with an organization that would promote that with us, or that aspect of the event with us.
That's fantastic. I'm just going to jump in here. Hi, Emma. It's so good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
We just loved working with you guys because you, and maybe this is because you had virtual event experience, or just because of kind of the way that you approached it. You're so organized, so on top of it, and really laid a great foundation to have a super smooth event. And so I would ask, what advice would you give to other nonprofits that are preparing for, a virtual event, or maybe an in-person event even? What kind of...
Or a hybrid or
right,
whatever. Yeah.
Just what organizational strategies, what advice can you impart on them to help their event go as smoothly as yours did?
Yeah, I think that's, a great question. I think first I would tell other event planners in the nonprofit sector to think about what is at the center of your event, what is at the heart, and what are you trying to achieve? So for us, we knew that Art with Heart was something that meant a lot to donors in our community. Art with Heart, at its core, is an auction where donor or artists create pieces inspired by children's art who are answering the question, what makes you happy? So we knew walking into this that we had a really strong auction that people loved to support. And another aspect of the event traditionally that people loved were the entertainment from Star Studio, which is Children's Minnesota's in-house television network. So we knew that that would be the thing that kept us engaged. That was what our audience engaged, and that's what was at the heart of the event. I would also tell other nonprofits to consider what made your in-person event successful and keep those elements. Like I said, for us, it was the auction and the entertainment portion. So that's why we decided to do a week-long auction, and in the middle of it have a half-hour entertainment, connecting people to our mission, programs that are impacted by their support, and just get people energized about participating in the auction, giving to our fund a need, and getting involved with CHA. And last, I would tell other nonprofits not to overcomplicate it. I think that was definitely reflected on other virtual events that we've done. That's something we've definitely walked into. I think it's easy to get overwhelmed by the tools that are in the toolbox for virtual events, right? But it's a lot of work in general to balance the pieces of a virtual event. But I would tell other nonprofits to trust your teams and trust your vendors. And on top of that, everybody has screen fatigue right now. It's spring 2021. So make sure that when you are creating this event, that people that you are engaging with can just say an easy yes to participating.
How did you do? What were your expectations? What were you hoping for? And how did things turn out for you?
Yeah, I think our primary goals were to, one, get the people who know and love this event to engage with it in a brand new way. And we did a lot of work on the marketing end to make sure that we were reaching out to the long loyals of Art with Heart, and finding ways to connect with new people in a virtual event space, specifically with our social media work. We are so happy to say that we're still bringing in contributions, but we've raised over $45,000 for Children's Hospital Association, supporting programs at Children's Minnesota. So we are so overjoyed with how this event is turning out. And we have Auction Frogs as being an amazing partner to thank for that.
I love hearing that. I do.
That's so great. I just have to say a couple things about your event. Because you mentioned, the entertainment piece, and the whole time that we were working on this event, you said, our host is going to be the dude, and I was like, okay, that's a very intriguing and interesting name. I have no idea, what to expect, being outside and not being familiar with your programming. But man, he killed it. He was so good. We were in the studio just cracking up because, and it was so subtle, and he was so calm, but he really did a great job. So major props to the dude. We thoroughly enjoyed being introduced to him. And the other thing, you mentioned really trying to stay true to what Art with Heart has always been about, which is the art. And I know, in your pre-roll, you had these really beautiful videos on these artists, and they talked about, their approach to art, but also their interpretation of that prompt and of the piece of art that they were recreating. And I thought that was such a great thing that you guys did, was making those videos, because it, like you said, it really spoke to what the event was about. And it was just so fascinating. I mean, I was amazed watching and hearing from some of these artists about what they did, and how they did it, and what their take on the whole thing was. So that was really great.
Yeah, thank you. And honestly, we would not have been able to feature those things in such a visible way if it hadn't been a virtual event. And also a huge shout out to the Star Studios team at Children's Minnesota. They helped us produce those videos for the artist features, and of course have an extremely talented cast of people who are on their shows. My background is in theater, and I have some experience in film producing, which absolutely helped with this process moving virtual, but they were amazing collaborators and also worked really well with the Auction Frogs production team, which was just fantastic.
All right. Now, Emma, now comes, as we're coming to the close here, I do have to ask you, if a nonprofit came to you from wherever and for whatever and said, what platform would you suggest? Would you recommend Auction Frogs to another nonprofit?
I would absolutely recommend Auction Frogs to another nonprofit. On an interpersonal level, working with everybody on the Auction Frogs team was so seamless, from tech support that we would chat with in their messenger to Kayla, our incredible event coordinator. Everybody was energized, prompt, and professional. They made coordinating this in what felt like not a very long amount of time so easy. And on more of an event coordination level, it was, again, such a breeze. As we were looking for vendors to partner with this unique event, we consistently felt like there were aspects that we would either have to compromise or re-envision. And with Auction Frogs, we never had to do that. So thank you guys again.
Emma, thank you so much. And we're so glad that you had the success you had, and because that just means that more children are going to benefit the cause and the reason why you do this each and every day. And for every nonprofit, everyone has their why. Everyone has their that calling that got them to do it. And the more we can be able to help, the more that why is able to be completed. And so thank you so much for choosing Auction Frogs. We're blessed to have been able to be a part of it, and we look forward to hopefully having another very exciting event moving forward.
That's what I was going to say. I'm just excited to work with you guys again.
We're excited too. Thank you both so much for having me today.
And Emma, thanks for being on this episode of Frog Talk.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Frog Talk, an Auction Frogs podcast series all about events and fundraising in a post-2020 world. For more information on Auction Frogs and the services we offer, visit auctionfrogs.org today.